Our first Friday workshop. I don't know if there's been a previous first Friday, but this is the first Friday for me that I've been in here helping you all with some of the stuff that you might be grappling with right now in this amazing semester. Um, could you just in the chat, I want to see two things, and I'll put this as instructions for you. Um, what is your role at the college? It could be student, maybe you're attending as a coach, maybe there's some other capacity that you're representing today. Your role and what you hope to get out of it. Okay. And what this will do is it will help us shine a light and laser focus on what will move the needle for you today. All right. Nick wants to crust her own to-do list. We will crust. Student and AAS. Okay. Welcome, Josue. All right. Hello, Farnaz. Don't forget to put what you're looking to get out of today. I want to know because that will let me tailor it a little bit to what you're trying to do. Thank you. Welcome, Monica, Mina, of course, Ella. Good to see you. Charquita, student, and your to-do list help encourage time management. Great. You're going to get some of that today. Learning use of AI and designing new things. Okay. Yeah, you're going to get that today too. Tips you provide students. Yes. Yes. Same tips I provide everybody, by the way. So looking to more using AI because using business. I like the way your head at, like where your head's at, Noah. Absolutely. It's something that a lot of employers are looking for. Okay, to-do list, student cybersecurity. Cool, Kelly. Anything you have to say? I'm almost finished reading my book. Wow. That's cool. Okay. Staff time management. All right. Cool. That's funny, Timothy. That book came out in January of 2020, which if you're going to release a book, I recommend avoiding a pandemic year. All right. So, I am going to get into this. So, oh, I see Adelaide, welcome. And Marie, welcome. And Jennifer, welcome. I see some more folks here. Checking out AI to see what I can gain from it to apply to teaching. Okay, cool. So I think the one thing to frame today is that there's going to be some upcoming sessions on academic work, social emotional growth when it comes to using AI. Today is all about productivity, which is like one of my favorite things in the world to discuss. And so that's the frame of
Oh, no,
today.
you're fine. I wanted to give you a heads up that if anyone comes in looking for Mr. Checkeye next week, he is not here and you are not expecting him in the office
Hey,
this week.
folks, if you are meaning to be muted right now, you might want to mute yourself.
I thought that was relevant to our meeting, so I was like, okay, well, we'll let this one play out. Okay, cool. Yeah. So productivity, that's our goal today. So let me show you what I'm thinking about. I'm going to switch in between showing you some slides, which will be available to you after today, and then we're going to do a little workshopping. It is a workshop. It is a quick, breezy workshop. So you do need to make sure that you're on it as much as you can be, and it's all good if we move quickly and you kind of just want to watch me demo things, that's fine too. But I do encourage you to try these things out either during the workshop or after the workshop, because otherwise, if you're not putting this into action, then we got nothing. So let me share my presentation here. Okay, so this is the name of our talk today. We're going to learn how to use AI to plan, organize, and crush that to-do list. Because we all got lists, right? We've all got stuff that we've got on a napkin. We've written stuff we're going to do. Maybe you're using your phone to keep track of things. Maybe if for some of you, it's in your head. I know some of you keep your tasks in your head. Today is the day that all of that changes. It's all of that changes today. And you might be thinking about AI and maybe you played around with it a little bit. Before actually I get into this, let me go in the chat. Give me a 1, 2, 3, or 4 on your level of comfort using AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude. 1 is like least comfortable, and 4 is you're very, very, very comfortable. Give me a number. Thank you, Gabby. Yep. It's not an official poll, but just 7, Farnaz. Okay. I don't know why you're here, but great. Maybe we can learn from you. All right, cool. So we got some people who are using it regularly here. We've got some pros. So if you are someone who's a pro at this, do feel free to chat in with any suggestions you have, because you might do things that I don't even know how to do. I'm still learning as well. Okay, so don't hold back. All right. So I'm Zia Hassan. Real quick introduction to me. Uh, get back here for a minute. Let's get. I'm Zia,
You're
and
so funny.
I help people find meaning in the midst of change. If I could have my co-hosts keep an eye on the mutes, that would be great. Um, find meaning in the midst of change, and we are sure in a tidal wave of change right now, everywhere in the world, in the country, and on our screens. So I'm helping you with the screen part. Can't help much about the other stuff, but the screens we can do. So what we're doing today, we're going to learn how to capture tasks on the go. This is a skill that I find many people don't have because they're focused on creating to-do lists like in certain times when they feel inspired. I'm going to teach you today a little technique to capture what you're thinking as you are out on the go. There's a couple ways to do that. We're going to learn a really good task management practice, and we're going to AIify it. That's a word I just made up. In other words, we're going to take this practice that I've been doing now for about 20 years, and we're going to figure out how to use AI to make it even more effective at what you do. Okay? Then, once we learn how to plan for our tasks, we're going to learn how to execute on our tasks like a boss, because you are the boss. Doesn't matter if you are a student. It doesn't matter if you don't have any people that report to you or whatever it might be. You are a boss because you are in charge of your life. You are in charge of your tasks. Okay. And then finally, we'll learn how to iterate a little bit on that process. So we got a lot to cover. So introduced me. So here's something I want to ingrain in everyone's brain right now. This is from David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. The mind is meant to have ideas, not hold ideas. Remember this forever. If this might change your whole world. If you are somebody who's like, I can just keep it in my head. I'm good at remembering things. Newsflash, you are not. And it's not because of you. It's because of human psychology. We are not good at holding things in our head. I think the number is like 7 things we can hold in our head at once. So unless you're somebody who has 7 tasks, and I don't know anyone who just has 7 tasks, then you need to put these on some form of paper or some form of digital. So in our step 1, we're going to capture these tasks. This has really nothing much to do with AI, this particular part, but it's a fundamental foundational part of task management. And that is have a place to write down things as they occur to you. So that could be a paper notebook. I didn't put this on the list, but index cards are a good one. I used to carry around a stack of index cards and a Fisher space pen. That's the type of the pen they use to write in space, because you can write anywhere, and you want to be prepared. And you can keep that. I kept that in my breast pocket for maybe 5 to 10 years of it was called the hipster PDA. That was what the internet dubbed it. So a stack of index cards and all of my tasks on those cards. You can also carry around one of those small notebooks. I don't have one on my desk, but there's one called Field Notes that's very popular. You don't have to use Field Notes. You can get any little notebook that you like, that is rugged, that won't fall apart in your pocket. And some way of writing stuff down. So whether that's a nice space pen or it's a beautiful fountain pen, if you're someone who likes fountain pens, it's a little harder to write with those on the go, but you could make it work. Or a ballpoint, or even a pencil, mechanical pencil. I carry around one of these. This is an e-ink tablet, and it has one of those cool looking styluses. Really neat. Again, you don't need all the fancy tech, but some place where you can write down as things occur to you. So if you're at the grocery store and you suddenly realize, wow, I've got a presentation due for a class in 3 to 4 days, I need to jot that down right now. Mark it down. But don't stop there, because the next thing, and oh yeah, I should mention voice to text software. If you use an iPhone, you can actually turn on Siri and you can say, remind me to, and whatever it is you're thinking, it will capture it to your reminders app on your notes in your phone. For Android, I'm sure there's something similar. I don't know what it is because I don't use Android, but if anyone knows what the command is for Android, please feel free to let us know. Okay, so capture your tasks, and then we're going to learn to process those tasks. Okay, so that is what's next. This is the way we're going to process today. This is what I want you to think about in terms of projects and contexts. Okay, this might be one of those concepts that takes you a little bit of time to wrap your head around. It may not be that you get it right now, but just bear with me as much as you can. A project is a multi-step process that has one outcome. So an example of this could be, I need to do a research project, and I've got to go to the library and get sources. I've got to then take notes on those sources. I've got to then figure out my draft. I got to get someone to review my draft. You can kind of see there's a step step-by-step process here that leads to an outcome. And that outcome is a finished paper or whatever it might be, or maybe a home renovation or finishing a class that you're taking. That's a project. All right. You with me so far? Maybe use your reaction button if you're confused. The context of your task, this is slightly different. This is the tool that you need, or the time that you need to do it, or the energy level that you need to accomplish this task. So an example of this could be, I need my computer in order to do this task. Maybe I'm going to do this task when I'm a little bit low on energy, right? I don't have to do much cognitive thinking. Or maybe it's urgent due soon, something that's coming up really soon. So I got to make sure it's like the first thing I get to in the morning. Or it's something I can only do in my home office, right? Many softwares today allow you to tag things. And so your contexts are a way of saying, okay, I've got these projects that have these outcomes, but I'm sitting at my computer right now, and I don't care so much about the order of things. I just need to know what's available to me right now that I can do across all the different projects that I work on. Okay. So you could look at all your things and say, I've got these projects with these step-by-step lists, or I'm going to pull all the tasks in that are related to the particular context I'm in. For instance, if it's late at night, like if I'm sitting on my couch watching, what did I just watch? The Perfect Couple. This is a show on one of the, I think Netflix. If you like Nicole Kidman in Murder, you can watch this one. But if I'm sitting there kind of mindlessly, like I got my computer and I'm trying to get some stuff done, I'm going to look at that low energy list to see what's available. Okay. So now we're going to try this. And I was going to have you write a brain dump. You can do this along with me if you'd like. But I don't know. I don't want to step over the time that we have available today. So maybe I'm just going to show you. I do have what I'm going to do available to you on a website in a second. So I am going to just explain this process. If you have on the go task list that you're writing, things you're collecting, great. You can also sit down and brain dump. There's very likely a lot of stuff that's shaking around in your head that you can just put down on a list. And you don't have to organize the list yet. We're going to get to that later. Okay, so I might write down a whole bunch of different stuff and then go from there to the next step. All right. Once you're done with that list, you can give everything a project and a context. Sometimes there is no project. Sometimes it's like you got to I don't know, update your car insurance. And that's the one step you got to take. That's just a regular old task. But sometimes there's a few different steps you have to take, like the research project that I mentioned earlier. All right. So I have a website here for you. So feel free to use your own list or to go to my website. I'll put that in the chat because I'm going to be shifting off of this for a second here. I am going to put that into the chat /list of tasks. Okay. And I'll show you what we're doing with this in a second. I have asked, I think you were asked to have some kind of AI tool. So feel free to follow along with the tool that you've chosen, or feel free to just look onto mine. And I will put up that website, ziahassan.space/list of tasks. Okay. And I've come up with kind of a mock list of stuff here. So this is a representation of what I just shared with you. Okay. In this column here, there's a bunch of different tasks. And then I've got the project that it's associated with, right? So these tasks, these 3 tasks, will result in me completing my semester papers. These 3 tasks will result in me passing my final exams, hopefully, right? And then I've included a context, and you can kind of see here how I've thought about it. If I'm completing a bibliography, I'm going to need my computer because I've got my software, my Zotero, whatever I'm using for my bibliography. If I'm editing an introduction chapter, that's in the deep work category for me because I need to spend time thinking about that. I'm not going to do that while I'm watching Love Island or Love is Blind on a Saturday night. I'm going to be carving out time in the morning or whenever I get my best work done so that I can get that accomplished. So I've labeled it as deep work. I can give it more than one context, by the way, but for this example, I've just done one. There's only one project really that's associated with usually. All right, so you can see I've done low energy for some of these, like creating these flashcards, like that's easy. I can do that while just sitting on the couch. This one's an errand, which means I'm going to have to go somewhere. So maybe I group some of those together. And so I've got my list, right? Kind of a disorganized list. Some of these are grouped together, some of them aren't. It's sort of all over the place. At the bottom, I've put some due dates for when these projects are due. So I need all semester papers completed by May 15th. I got to pass my final exams by June 5th. and I've got a bunch of due dates. Okay. So this is a very like sort of like all over the place list. A lot of people stop here and they say to themselves, okay, I've got my list. Now what do I do? I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but if you've ever opened up your list and then immediately closed the list because you're terrified of how big it is, right? And looking at this list, it's gigantic. Where do I even start with this right now? I don't even know. So here's what I'm going to show you how to do. There are softwares that do this, but AI can make it streamlined. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. And I'm going to create in my AI of choice, which is Claude. For you, it might be ChatGPT. It might be Google's Gemini, or it might be Claude. These are all ones you can pick from. I have the professional plan, which means I pay $20 a month to use some special stuff that it does. You do not need that. The basic AIs are good enough now that you don't need to worry about paying for a professional plan unless you're using this on a regular basis and you're using it really seriously. Then you might want to look into the plans and what they provide. But just for our purposes today, the free versions are totally fine. Okay, so how can Claude help me today? So I want you to watch this. This is going to be my prompt. If you are new to AI, a prompt is simply the instructions that I'm going to give this bot. Okay, I'm going to give it as much context as I can, and then we're going to see what happens. The way that I think about it is it's like talking to a friend. It's like talking to a person. It's not a person. It's a computer program that is generating stuff via algorithms and probabilities, but you're going to talk to it like it is a person. That's the best way to utilize this. So what do I want it to do? So let me just throw it out to the group for a minute since we're workshopping here. I have my tasks. Here they all are. I've got my projects and context associated with those tasks and some due dates. What is a question, if I'm going to paste this into the AI, what is a question that I would want to ask or that you would want to ask? Go ahead and put that into the chat for me. I want to see some ideas. What is a question you would ask the AI about these tasks? That would be helpful. And if you're not sure, think about what you would ask an intern. Like, hey, intern, here are all my tasks. What do I need to know? Okay, I see Farnaz is saying, organize and sort the list into projects. Okay, that's one way. Can you organize my schedule? Absolutely. Create a spreadsheet, create a prioritized list, organize by priority. Okay. Okay. Now, you'll notice, okay, school assignments by due dates. Yeah. Okay. These are all fantastic ideas, and I encourage you to try these out with your own tasks. So when we're done here, you're going to have the homework of creating your list. And if you already have one, great. If you don't have one, make one. If you use a special app for it, you can usually copy and paste or export things. So, and I see Nick says, give me an easy balanced schedule for this weekend by deep tasks and easy work. Okay, great. Let's go with that one for now. So I'm going to say, here is my list of tasks, which I'm going to paste in a minute. Remember, I copied it from here. If you don't know, that's Control C or Command C or right clicking and clicking on copy. That works too. And then I'm going to paste into this area here. But here's my list of tasks. I've given each one a project and a context, as well as a due date. Please look through the list and tell me, let's say, I want to keep my weekend really low key. All right. 2 things that I can work on. One should be deep work, which requires my full attention. And one should be easy, something I can do on the couch while watching TV. All right. By the way, I held down space and hit enter a couple of times to get those line breaks in. So in case you're wondering, I'm gonna paste this in. We're gonna see what happens. I have no idea what's gonna happen because it's new every time. So I'm putting it in there. Don't worry if it looks weird like this. It'll be able to read it. All right. So it's giving me some stuff and it's giving me some rationale. Deep work task requires your full attention. Review and edit introduction chapter. This task falls under the deep work and it's part of your complete semester papers, which has the earliest due date of May 15th among all your projects. Okay. So if I work on this task and the recommendation from me to you, this is based on research, if you're scheduling time to work on a deep work task is 90 minutes. 90 minutes is a really good time to, you won't feel like you're getting interrupted by anything, and you'll hopefully make some progress. Some of you may know about the Pomodoro technique, which we'll talk about in a minute. But now I've got my two tasks, and my easy task is going to be creating flashcards for biology. Okay, so I'm going to schedule myself for some deep work for 90 minutes for this weekend so I can get ahead on this project. And I'm going to, as I'm watching TV, put together these flashcards. That's going to be my weekend. Okay. Now, someone out there said, what about my schedule? Okay. So let's just, I think I maybe pulled in let's see. I'm going to ask it to generate a fake schedule because I didn't pull in my own schedule, but you can use yours. Generate a fake schedule for my week and all of my classes, and then integrate where I could put in some of the tasks. I'm going to say, make it clear which is an event and which is a task, and we'll see what this gives us. Okay. It knows, by the way, it's remembering our previous chats. Okay, so here we go. Again, I've made up these events because I didn't put in my calendar, but you can put in your real stuff. Okay, I've got my economics class, my seminar, and it's putting in my tasks, right? There's my review and edit introduction piece, which hopefully will get done this weekend, but if not, no worries. If that happens, by the way, and you're like, hey, I was supposed to do that this weekend, so why is it putting it on Monday? You can just tell your AI, Monday, you have review and edit introduction, but I plan to complete that this weekend. Okay. So now it's going to say, oh, sorry about that. We're going to regenerate this whole schedule in one click. Okay. And then rest of the week remains unchanged. Claude will create these little kind of documents on the side. ChatGPT will put it right in the chat. Either way, anytime you get any output from these systems, there's a button that says copy. You can click on copy and you can paste that into whatever note-taking app you like. If you want to use Microsoft OneNote or Word or some other thing, you can paste it in there. You could also just keep it in your AI. That's fine too. But sometimes when the chats get long, it's harder to find what you're looking for. So you can just copy and paste into whatever you're looking for. Now I've got a schedule for the week. Okay. And I do want to point this out that sometimes, especially with AI, you might estimate that a task will take you an hour and it ends up taking 3. That is bound to happen, and please don't beat yourself up when and if that happens. Okay? If that happens, all you need to say is, okay, Claude, I need you to reshuffle my tasks and reorganize so that I can come back to this later in the week. Okay? All right. Let me take quick questions before I move on. Anything coming up for you that you're curious about learning here? Okay. These are examples, these prompts, by the way, of how you might approach it. You could approach it in any which way you want. Let's say you're someone who has ADHD. You might say, hey, I've got ADHD. I got to break up my tasks into smaller pieces than this. Don't tell me I need to spend an hour and a half on calculus. I want you to break it down into like exactly what my 15-minute increments are going to be so I can stay focused, and it will do that for you. So tailor this to your needs. Yep. Nick's saying I have ADHD. I label things as hard to start tasks. Yeah. So you might know, like, oh man, I need energy for those. I need coffee for those. I need whatever it is that keeps you focused. You'll know. Okay. Good to hear, Shakita. I see someone posted in. Oh yeah, it was Nick. I see in the schedule. Yeah. So you see, right? So now you got exactly what you need to do. This is brilliant because, like I said, it's not about having a to-do list. Many people have to-do lists. It's about knowing what items to do. And sometimes with AI, we can filter out quickly, what do we need to do right now? Sometimes it's obvious, and you don't always need AI for that. Other times it's not as obvious with a big list. Jennifer, my events I just generated those. They were like fake events. I asked it up above to generate some fake events for me, just for the demonstration purpose. For you, you'll want to like copy in your calendar events or your schedule for the week. Okay. Great. Great. Okay. Let me move on to the next piece. We only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure I'm moving briskly here. Okay. So we did that. So here's another example, another one you can steal. I'm currently low on energy. What are 3 tasks I could work on right now that are somewhat urgent, but don't require a huge cognitive load? Now, this requires a little bit of inference on the part of the AI. It may not always know what is urgent for you, and what is a huge cognitive load for you. So when that result comes out, you're going to use your human brain to say, does this actually make sense? Is this actually something that's low energy, something I could do that doesn't require a huge cognitive load? Okay. So for me, the things that would come up would be like doing laundry or putting away dishes, like things I don't have to think about at the end of the day. I try and do my heaviest thinking in the mornings if I possibly can. All right. So again, use your brain to think about what it is you want. If you had an assistant or an intern with you, what would you be asking them to do? Okay. Here's a little bonus. If you have a syllabus from a class that you're taking, if you're a student, you can put in that syllabus because generally speaking, that syllabus is containing all of the different items and due dates for everything in the class. So all this stuff we entered in before with the schedule, you have that all in your syllabus. You can literally copy the entire thing, paste it into your AI, and then start asking questions about it. How should I plan how to break up the biggest projects in this class? And it might tell you, well, you've got a big one, a big project due on October 15th. So you're going to have to spend at least in 4 1-hour chunks to complete it. And here's how I would break it down if I were you. Okay. If you take notes in class on what your professors say, you could also put those in and have the AI analyze those. Okay. So let's quickly talk about before we wrap up here. Once you've tried this out, there's a good chance that it may not work perfectly. Okay. I'm giving you this as a way of understanding you can use AI to manage your tasks and kind of work through it. But you may, at the end of it, say, you know what? It gave me this huge schedule and I really didn't stick to it. I couldn't stick to what it was giving me. So I had to divert a little bit. If that's the case, let your AI know, give it feedback, come back and say to it, hey, you gave me all these tasks. You said this was going to be an hour. It actually ended up taking me a lot longer. Next week, let's plan for next week. Keep that in mind and make it so that I have a good amount of time of wiggle room so that if something takes longer than it needs to, I can fill in that gap. Okay. So one example prompt I'm giving you here is here's what I accomplished this week. When I reflect on my week, I feel that and then you give it your reflection on what happened. What's a good plan for next week to improve my processes and workflows? This is not a silver bullet. It is not a tool that's going to suddenly solve your life. And I know some people think it is. It is not. You still are in charge. This might speed up your thinking process, though, and allow you to come back and say, what can I do? It's almost like working with a coach or a consultant of some kind, except it's available to you 24/7 and usually for free. Okay. All right. With 1 minute left, I want to just quickly touch back on the Pomodoro technique, which I mentioned earlier. This is not something that you would do with AI necessarily, but it's a technique that there's a lot of apps that do it on your phone and on the web. If you just Google Pomodoro technique, you'll see it. It is basically the idea is you set a timer that runs in intervals. It runs for say 20 minutes, and then there's a short break of 5 minutes. Then it runs for another 20 minutes, and then there's a short break of 5 minutes. You can change those intervals to whatever makes the most sense for you. Okay, and you can grow them if you want to. And what that does is it says 20 minutes, I'm staying focused on my task. And for 5 minutes, I'm going to check email, go on Facebook, Instagram, goof off, whatever. But I'm coming back to my work after those 5 minutes. So that allows you to get out your sort of, if you get distracted easily, it allows you to get that out and then come back to the task. There are some people who argue against the Pomodoro technique and say that it actually is well, there's so many interruptions with it that it's hard to get back on track after you're done. I say use what works for you. That actually got me through my first grad school experience. So try it out and see. If you find it's not working for you, then don't use it. If you find that it's helping, then great. You've got some good information to go on. Okay. So I wanted to end this by giving you the link to our slides. So there's my address right there, and I'll put that in the chat. Let's see if I can put that in the chat. And I'm sticking around for any questions that you might have, even though our workshop time is over at this point. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me if you have questions. And I have a Substack you can subscribe to that I write in occasionally. But now I'm opening up the floor for any questions that might be coming up for you. Something you'd like to learn that maybe wasn't covered. You're welcome, Gabby. Yeah, you're so welcome. You're welcome, Monica. Yeah, give Claude a try. They're all very similar, but um, they all are slightly different in how they operate. So I like Claude because I do a lot of coding, and Claude does coding really well. I find better than ChatGPT. You're welcome, Bossman.
And then please take a look in the chat. Chat, Nick just left a link for you to give us some feedback on today's workshop. And we hope you can do that when you get a chance. And if anyone's headed out, I hope you have a good day today.
Yeah,
Maybe go outside. It's not raining anymore.
we're getting some questions, so let me answer some of these. Any beginner videos for AI? I don't know of one that I point people to specifically, but if you go on YouTube and you say beginner's guide to ChatGPT, I guarantee there'll be tons of videos out there. I should probably make one. I feel like it'd be a good idea to make one. Um, but also, I really truly recommend jumping in and playing with it and asking it, telling it, like, here's some things I'd like to do with AI. Can you do these things? Because it's just like talking to a friend. So you'll learn very quickly what it can and can't do. Of course, feel free to look up videos, but that to me is the most efficient way. Nick, you want to jump in? Or do you want me to
I'm going to
continue?
share the link to our MC Library AI guide as well. It's got some great tips on getting started and some advice on how to use AI within the parameters of what your professor might allow. So please do check that out.
Yeah. Timothy, you're asking, are there good sources for prompts that have used, I assume you mean that people have used and work for them. I don't know. The thing about it is it's so specific to the individual. And I have a bunch of prompts that I can give you for career stuff. I'll put it in the chat. It is um AI it is AI career pivot. I think that's what I put it under. Uh Let me just make sure that works. But while I'm doing that, I'll just continue telling you that it's you want to use your own prompts that are going to work and refine them. So if you ask it something and you don't get the response you want, see how you can ask it better and maybe ask it questions about like I clearly need to refine my prompts. What should I say instead? And then you can keep a little side list of prompts that have worked for you. I don't know of a repository that has a bunch. I'm sure there are though. But I recommend that you take control, take the wheel, and do it. Okay, that was the right address. So I'm putting that in there. You can use some of my prompts, but my prompts are really around career related stuff. So really in the end, you want to think about like, what do I want this AI to do? And then just tell it that. And there used to be a whole thing about like, you got to design the prompt and like, tell it its context and all of that. Not really necessary. If it doesn't give you what you want, you just keep refining it and keep talking to it until it does. Okay. What is coming up for y'all? What else? You're welcome. You're welcome, Trakita. You're welcome, Lillian. You're welcome, BT. Thank you.
Thea, since your workshop at our Coaches Institute, I have been just diving in. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm glad to
Me
hear
too,
that.
actually.
You
Yeah,
too,
I was
Ella?
actually someone who was like, not a, no, I was opposed. I was like, I'm not going to touch this because the moment I do, I'm like, that's over. I'm going to try to turn off my brain as much as possible. But so far, I've enjoyed using it. For me, often it's to draft emails. I get nervous, so it speeds it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like I find at first it's like I want to do this, I want to use this for everything. But then after a while you kind of say, well, if I use it for everything, then what else like what's my point? Like what do I
Yeah,
do?
exactly. It gives you a little bit of existential crisis. Or it's like, well, if this thing could literally write the essays that I need to for my class, why am I here?
Right, right. What is your goal? Like if I want to learn how to be whatever I'm trying to
Mhm.
be, then I can't have AI writing it for me, but I could use it as a proofreader or a, generator of ideas or whatever. I like to say you outsource anything you don't enjoy doing and then humanize the rest of it. That could, of course, get dicey too, but you got my point.
Wow, you did that so fast. And you stayed right at 30 minutes. I was impressed. I was like, whoa.
When I worked for Microsoft, I did a presentation every day, and I had to stay to the time because a lot of it was teachers, and they have
Mhm.
short PD sessions. So I've gotten good at the 30-minute block.
Ooh, impressive. Okay.
All right. Yeah, we got our next one in November. Can't even believe it. We're reaching the end of the year. Still see a few folks here. If anybody has other questions, we're here.
Zia, what would be one of the more unusual things you have used AI for?
Ooh,
I'm so
that's a
glad you
good
asked. Okay, I'll tell you two.
Good.
One is 2 years ago for Mother's Day. This is when ChatGPT was new. I gave it a bunch of information about what my wife likes, things we've done in the past, and my kids' ages. And then I said, give me 5 ideas for a Mother's Day gift. And two of the ideas were one of them was a chocolate tasting in bed, because I said she likes chocolate,
Uh-huh.
and the other was a memory jar of memories of our family. And then I said, "Oh, I like those two ideas." And it said, "Well, why not combine them?" So we gave her a box of chocolates, and under each chocolate was
Oh, I
a
like that.
and yeah, and she was like, "This is the most creative, thoughtful gift you've ever come up with." And I was like, "Thank you, George Patrick Thomas." That's what I call GPT. And then the second one is I recently bought a whole bunch of new clothes, and they're just kind of solid color, solid tone clothes.
Yeah.
And I uploaded all the pictures of just like out of my bed, and I said, "Okay, you're a fashion, consultant advisor. Give me outfits for my week." And I've gotten compliments on my outfits, and I always am like, "Thank you, Claude." You know? So two unusual things.
Interesting. The clothes one, it's bringing it back to, I think the movie's called Clueless, where she had like
Yes.
the app on her phone that showed all her outfits. Wow.
She had
Uh,
an app and wait, did they make a new Clueless?
No, this is the first one, the original. She
it
had a
was
little
like a
display.
computer. It would
Yeah.
like put the
Oh,
things
oh, oh, oh.
on her
Yeah.
rotating.
Right.
Yes.
A computer program they called it back then.
Uh, well, thank you so much, Zia. Ella, you were a great host.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Ella.